gentlemen from all around the world, coming to you from the Spit Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia. This is the Spit Sports Show. How did you guys enjoy Week 5 of the NFL season? Me personally, I had a fantastic Week 5. It honestly couldn't have gone much better. Lions won, smoked the Carolina Panthers just like we were supposed to do. I won in fantasy football against my father, which is always a nice little thing to add on to Sundays. And Spit's picks went 3-2 this week. Unfortunately, it could have went 4-1 if not for the Packers game last night, which I'm going to get into later. I had a little bit more faith in Jordan Love than I probably should have. But again, that's later in the show. I want to start with probably the story of the weekend, which was Cowboys 49ers. But to be honest, I'm not going to talk too much about this game because I hate to pat myself on the back. I really do. I like to come into this show as a humble sports prognosticator who simply is here to give you his opinion on all of the biggest stories in the world of the NFL, NBA, NHL, whatever I want to talk about really. But on Friday, I said the Niners are the owners of the Dallas Cowboys practically because the Cowboys want to do everything the Niners do, except the Niners do it better. And that was on full display on Sunday. Holy moly, man. Like, you could tell that the Cowboys just had a discrete lack of talent compared to what the Niners had. Like, every position on the field, it was in the Niners' favor. Like I said, it would be on Friday. Receivers, Niners look better. Running back, Niners look better. Defense, it wasn't even close. I thought that was going to be the closest element of the game, to be honest, because I have a lot of faith in Dallas's defense. I had too much faith. Everything I said would happen in that game happened. It's the kind of the opposite of the Bills-Dolphins game that I talked about during week 4. But I do want to talk about Purdy for a little bit. And what I see in Purdy is basically he is Dak Prescott, but a little bit more accurate. He is exactly what this Kyle Shanahan system needs. He is on time. He makes good decisions. It feels like his teammates back him as a leader and as a guy who you like in the huddle, who when he calls a play, you're like, yeah, this is going to work. He's going to make the right decisions with the ball. Everything is clicking for this 49ers team. They're undisputedly, to me, the best team in the NFL right now. I think they can go toe-to-toe with anyone and not just beat them, but beat them bad. If they played the Philadelphia Eagles today, I got to be honest, I think the Niners would win that game by a touchdown plus. Just because I think their defense is way better than the Eagles is. I still have questions about that Eagles secondary. I totally understand they're 5-0. And to be honest, they haven't been playing up to their standards and they're 5-0, which is super impressive. But that passing game can got, man. I just saw Sam Howell put up 300 yards on that team. And Sam Howell is nowhere near as good as Brock Purdy with those weapons around him. Kittle is having another career year. The only thing that can stop these 49ers, a lot of people say the only thing that can stop the Niners is if their quarterback Purdy regresses and turns back into, the last overall pick, which is possible. It could happen. To me, the only thing that can stop this Niners team is injuries. They are the one team as a Lions fan I am terrified of. If we played the Eagles tomorrow, the Lions, I think we have a good chance of winning that game because I think our offense is clicking a little bit more than theirs is right now. Not the Niners, man. They do everything well. By the way, I'm not going to talk about the Lions this podcast, but top 3 defense in the NFL, Detroit Lions, after being 31st last year. No big deal, but we're coming. Another game that I talked about going into the week was Bills-Jags. And I said coming into this game that I thought it was going to be the quarterbacks that decided the game because the rosters were kind of similar when I looked at it. Unfortunately, I was wrong. Listen, I understand what the final stats say, and watching the game, it looked like Lawrence was, out-dueling Allen for most of it. But to my eyes, I think Allen outplayed Lawrence throughout most of, if not the entire game. Buffalo, they have gone back to their old ways, man. They could not get a run game going. Allen was their leading rusher with 14 yards. They had 29 yards total rushing for the Bills. And when that happens, like the Jags pass rush is just able to pin their ears back and go for the quarterback instead of having to commit to, closing up gaps and making sure that the run game doesn't get going because they just abandoned it all day. I think they had 14 rush attempts all day, not rushing yards or whatever, 14 rushing attempts. That is unbelievably low. This has been an issue for the Bills for the last couple of years, and it's one of the most like fascinating underlying things in the NFL for me, the Bills running game and how just destitute it can become. And I haven't totally figured it out as in why it happens yet, but here's what I think the Bills' logic is. So Allen is their franchise player. He's their guy. He's the one who, makes them a Super Bowl contender. So I think their mindset is let's just put the ball in his hands. You know what I mean? Like he's our best player. He's the guy who's going to make plays for us. Let's just put the ball in his hands every time because we know most of the time he's going to make something out of nothing. What they don't understand is that's not how you get the best out of your quarterback. And you know how I know that? Because right now in the modern day NFL, there is a coach quarterback combo who is making history right now, arguably the most talented quarterback of all time, and maybe the most prolific offensive mind we've seen in the NFL ever in Kansas City. Those two together. Listen, this year, Mahomes' numbers are down across the board, right? Statistically. His passing yards are down. His touchdowns, I think he's 9th in the league in passer rating. Like his numbers are good, but they're not Mahomes level. But the Chiefs are 4-1, right? So why is that? Well, because in the last few years, they finally developed a solid run game. They've got Pacheco now. Their O-line is better. So that allows them to chew the clock, play the time of possession game so their defense isn't as, tired and they're more fresh when they get onto the field. And if they need Mahomes to make some magic, if they need a 3rd and 15 converted, if they need a big play, he can obviously do that, but they don't have to rely on him to do that every single drive for their offense to work. That's what the Bills are asking Allen to do. Like, if you think about Mahomes, his first few years, they were just like the Bills, right? They had no running game. Mahomes was the entire offense. His first year starting, he threw something like 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards. He was just unbelievably fantastic statistically, right? He had all of the counting stats, but he couldn't win a Super Bowl. He got beat by Tom Brady. He got, but his first Super Bowl, what happened in that game? Damian Williams could have been the Super Bowl MVP. And you might be asking, who is Damian Williams? He ran for over 100 yards and a touchdown in that game, including the game-sealing run that went for something like 40 yards where he went down at the goal line to chew the clock for the Chiefs. A running game is so, so important to a quarterback. It's one of the biggest cliches in football. A quarterback's best friend is handing the ball off to a running back. You know what I mean? So the fact that the Bills haven't been able to get that going, I don't know who to put the blame on. Is it on Sean McDermott? Probably. Is it on Ken Dorsey? Maybe. I think it's more on Ken Dorsey, though. If you're a great offensive coordinator, if you're a Kyle Shanahan, if you're a Ben Johnson, if you're one of these guys, you're able to develop a run game, not just using your personnel, but using creativity as well. How many times have we seen Kyle Shanahan pull out a little end around play or a jet sweep or a toss even? Like the 49ers do more tosses than any other team I've ever seen. Bills should try that. I think James Cook's a really good running back, and their O-line is, average. It's okay, but it's not destined. It's not terrible. They should be able to run the ball behind that O-line. Listen, I think the Bills are a really good team, but until they get that run game down consistently, they're going to have a lot of trouble, man. I still think Allen is a lot better than Lawrence is. Not a lot better, but better. I think Allen's in anywhere from that 5 to 3 range in quarterbacks. I think Lawrence is anywhere from the 8 to 5 range. I think Allen's better than he is, but he needs some help on the offensive side of the ball. Jacksonville's defense also played out of their mind that game. Josh Allen, man. The other Josh Allen, the Jacksonville Josh Allen. Every single time he plays like the quarterback Josh Allen, it feels like he gets up and just has a little bit extra motivation. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the real Josh Allen, Yeah. It might be a psychological thing. I don't know. It might be a dumb point, but the last 2 times that I've seen the Jags play the Bills, that Josh Allen pass rusher, he jumps off my screen. So the game that I said was one of my favorite picks of the week was the Packers getting 2 points against the Raiders. And I stand by that. I still think I was on the right side of that bet. But unfortunately, I didn't know how bad Jordan Love would be well under pressure. So the MVP of this game was Max Crosby. It wasn't Jimmy Garoppolo. It wasn't Devontae Adams, as I thought it would be if the Raiders won the game. It wasn't Christian Watson, who I thought had a really good game, even though he didn't get the ball enough. I'll get to that in a second, but it was Max Crosby. he wrecked the game for the Packers. They couldn't block him. No Bakhtiari has proved to be a lot more of a big deal than I thought it would be originally for this Packers O-line, because their inside of the O-line is super solid. From center to guards, really, really good. But unfortunately, they played one of the best edge rushers in the NFL. He's like a more experienced Aiden Hutchinson. He is just relentless, man. His motor doesn't stop. And when that happens and you have to chip and you have to do all of these kind of schemes to keep him in place, it makes it so Love has a lot less options when he's dropping back to throw. And when you don't chip him, he becomes a straight up bad football player. Jordan Love has the lowest passer rating and completion percentage well under pressure this year, which is not a good sign, because usually good quarterbacks are really good against the blitz. Like Mahomes, Burrow, all of these guys, they're really good at making quick decisions because there's usually going to be a guy open in that split second that the fifth, sixth guy is going to come in, right? You can make a quick read and get the ball out. What that tells me is Jordan Love's issue is seeing the field quickly. And on that last touchdown throw, that's exactly what happened. He had Watson open, man. And that's one thing Love does really well is throw the go ball. Watson had his guy beat. He saw him so late. And when you see him late and you still want to throw that pass, fine. I get it. You want to get the ball to the end zone. That throw has to be to the back pylon. You can't give that DB any chance to make a play on the ball or the game will be over like it was. You've got to throw it to the back pylon where no one can get it but your receiver, and hopefully he can make a play on the ball. Watson's a pretty special player. I wouldn't put it past him to make a crazy catch like that. But if he hit him earlier, that's a walk-in touchdown. He had him by about 5 yards beat. DB was able to catch up because he was playing inside leverage. Love went to the right side of the field first as his read instead of the left where Watson was. Gave the DB time to catch up. Love throws a bad ball, game over. It's scary for the Packers because this is kind of unseeded territory for them, you know? Like they went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. Like that is 1 in a million. And unfortunately, I don't think 1 in a million has happened twice, or fortunately, because thank goodness Love isn't good, or you'd have some issues in the NFC North. Lions are in firm control right now, and I'm so excited about that. Love has a lot of work to do, and if his main issue is his quick decision-making, that's a problem, because that's the best element in good quarterbacks, is their ability to think quickly, process information, and throw an accurate football games. That's what wins Super Bowls. If he can't get better at that, the Packers are in trouble. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching as always. I want to know, what do you guys think about my takes? Am I crazy for saying Allen is that much better than Lawrence after last week? What do you guys think Jordan Love's future looks like for the Packers? Let me know. As always, the Spit Sports Show hopefully comes out every other day. It's been pretty tough to keep up with the schedule, but I'm trying my best, I promise. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it, and I will see you in the next one. Peace out.